Good evening. It is time for the primetime newscast on DBS television. We begin with our headline. Inhabitants of Brazzaville neighborhood in Douala have been facing an acute shortage of electricity power, this as they have plunged into darkness for the fifth night today. Tired of the situation, the people are asking for solutions to their problems and as well seeking answers after the silence they have experienced. This is our sole headline in tonight's newscast. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us and get the details when we return shortly. Welcome back, dear televiewer. This is the 7 p.m. and the primetime newscast in the English language on DBS television. I am Cynthia Nguemo. We begin the news by taking you to the Brazzaville neighborhood, a locality in the Douala 3 subdivision where there has been an acute power shortage and a prolonged blackout for the fifth day today and still counting. Due to this situation, the people have had great losses in terms of their daily life as well as in their economic activities. This area is notably very popular for nighttime leisure activities. Mange Venasius completes the story.
The uncomfortable and prolonged electricity blackout has visited the Brazzaville neighborhood, a locality in Douala 3 subdivision, for 5 days and still counting. Locals narrate that the unfortunate situation began as a normal activity by the electricity supply company when some wooden poles were being changed for concrete poles. The situation persisted for 2 days without electrical energy. The population, after incurring a lot of difficulties with heat and seeing their foodstuffs getting bad in their homes, reacted.
We have sent people to Kumasi. They went and were given a form to write, to fill. We fill the form and then they said they will call. Nothing yet has been done. We have even sent people here to go complaining. No response. We are in total dark and we don't know what is happening and nobody has anything to tell us.
And days keep on increasing while they remain in darkness. Businesses are on standstill as they cannot go operational without electricity, as this businessman explains. Even in sad occasions, like this woman who says they are mourning the death of her mother in darkness, as each time they have to use torches or candles, coupled with the recent increase in temperatures. It is certainly a difficult moment for the young as well as elderly people like this old man. What is strange to them is that no one is saying anything.
Nobody has even had anything to explain to us, and then till today we don't really know. No information, nothing. So we are decrying our crime and calling upon the authority that be to come on our rescue.
If there is one other thing that has been constant, then it is the bills that are being brought. This would be like adding salt to a wound. For someone who has been deprived of electricity for 5 days and counting, but sees electricity bills served instead. Bills which they say are even too high than they usually pay. This is a neighborhood with children who should be studying for their examinations, a situation that could have far-reaching consequences in their future.
Now let's talk health. While some Cameroonians feel and act less concerned about COVID-19 prevention, others have taken not only the prevention but equally knowledge on their status to heart. This comes as a number of Cameroonians in the city of Yaoundé have been showing up to do the testing of COVID-19 in the centers, one of them being that of Palais de Sport. Administrators of the site say they are happy about increasing consciousness, but they are also submerged with the urban burden of attending to so many people in a single day. Amongst the over 1,000 people coming for COVID-19 testing daily, Dr. Lucien Mama, the coordinator of the Palais de Sport testing testing site says about 600 or 700 are often those traveling out of the country, and the remaining 300 or 400 are simply those who feel symptoms, have been in close contact with COVID-19 patients, or simply want to know their status. He adds that at least 10% of those tested daily turn out to be positive for COVID-19 and are immediately taken to treatment centers for follow-up. The rate of COVID-19 is on the rise across the national territory for sure, and the region of Adamawa is not left out in this situation. In line with Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute's orders for local authorities to ensure the strict respect of COVID-19 barrier measures in their areas of command, the governor of Adamawa, Kildadi Tegeke Buka, has engaged in a sensitization exercise across the town of Ngaoundere, where he visited public spaces like markets, schools, travel agencies, and airports, amongst others, with just one message: respect COVID-19 barrier measures. This comes after the region has registered over 1,892 positive cases and 40 deaths in the pandemic. Here is Governor Kildadi Buka reiterating the need to comply with COVID-19 restrictive measures in order to combat coronavirus in the Adamawa and in Cameroon. He spoke to Muhammadu Awal in DBS in the town of Ngaoundere.
As instructors to go and inform the population that the illness is out. The illness is out to cause damages. People are dying of COVID. We have 6 persons of COVID, and we cannot continue on in this vein. So today, with all the stakeholders, we went across the town. We went to university, went to airport, we went to railway station, just to once more remind the citizens that they should pay attention, and they should by all means respect the barrier measures which are well done by everybody. I think it's not a joke. The situation is serious, and once more we have called on the population to show proof of their patriotism, the sense of patriotism and the sense of responsibility. We have to do everything possible to stop this virus in our region.
The regional delegate for public health in the littoral region, Mambo Maka Albert, has carried out a working visit to the Kongsamba Regional Hospital. This is in the Mungo division. The visit enabled him to see for himself the level of preparedness for this hospital to receive the growing number of COVID-19 cases in this division. Details of the story with Mange Venasius.
The visit of the Littoral Regional Delegate for Public Health, Dr. Mambo Maka Albert, to Kongsamba had a twofold dimension. On the one hand, the delegate was out to evaluate the quality of services being rendered at the district and regional hospitals in Kongsamba. Secondly, the delegate wanted to evaluate the epidemiological situation in the division, a situational chart that reads 203 positive cases and 4 deaths recorded in less than 3 months. These statistics place Kongsamba within the COVID-19 red zone in the region after Vuri and Edea. In a working session with health officials, the regional delegate gave out recommendations on ways to carry out the follow-up of the pandemic in schools and enterprises, and making Kongsamba an isolation center for moderate and mild COVID-19 cases. They equally discussed the capacity of these isolation centers and to reinforce training capacities of staff working with COVID-19 patients. The delegates saluted the health working atmosphere existing between the regional and the district hospitals, while calling on them to maintain and work in collaboration with the hierarchy. The management of the regional and district hospitals used the opportunity to press on their needs such as shortage of staff, logistics, and financial assistance, especially during this COVID-19 period. They also pointed out the issue of electricity power failure that has been destroying some of the equipment. They observed a minute of silence in memory of their late colleague, Chantal Mochum, who died of COVID-related complications, given that she was working at the emergency ward of the regional hospital.
In a different story, there has been widespread critiques of the quality of civil or public service rendered to Cameroonians in Cameroon. Fortunately, there has been a remarkable improvement in the way civil servants respond or receive Cameroonians seeking services in government offices and ministries in the country, an improvement which is attributed to reforms in this domain. This is the observation that Ate Bonaventure shares with us in the following report.
Civil servants in Cameroon occupy the highest percentage of the working population. They are employed and paid by the government and have as task to serve the public irrespective of their social, political, or cultural background. The public service in recent years has been marred by ills such as corruption, tribalism, nepotism, and influence peddling. According to some Cameroonians, the recent reforms and sensitization has led to a change of mentality.
There are some civil servants that are welcoming. There are some that are not welcoming. But in general, I can say no, the mentality are trying to change. People are changing their mentalities, and I think they are making a great step forward. And nowadays, I think with the help of technology and all what is going on, they know that if they misbehave, maybe their name can be found on some major platforms. So they are very skeptical, and sometimes they are taking precautions to do their best to help the Cameroonians that are coming for their services.
Though all habits die hard, many believe the computerization of the public service system has reduced the rate of malpractices by public servants.
There are some services when you reach there, you appreciate the service, and when you go to another service, you are very disappointed.
And what are you expecting from civil servants?
My expectation is that try to do more, because everybody is a servant for somebody. When you go somewhere and they serve you easily, quickly, it gives you the occasion to go and serve yourself or other men in other service.
Users of public service are still looking forward to meeting a corruption-free public servant doing their job diligently without any complex or influence.
Now we move on to news out of Cameroon, beginning with Niger, the country which has again suffered another tragedy, as at least 58 people have been killed while they were returning from a weekly market in the Tillabéri region of the country. The attack is said to be carried out by some armed groups. And in Libya, the transitional government has officially taken over office after a peaceful transition of power in the capital. This is hoped to bring an end to over 10 years of chaos caused by political elections in the country. And in news out of the African continent, the US government has announced sanctions on over 24 Chinese officials for their role in the attack and maltreatment of some Hong Kong officials during a crackdown which occurred recently. It is said to tamper with democracy in this country. Rogeatu Buba, our intern, has details of this African and world stories in the following.
In southwestern Niger, armed men have killed at least 58 people when they intercepted a convoy returning from a weekly market and attacked a nearby village close to the country's border with Mali. This attack occurred in the Tillabéri region. Announcement was read by government spokesman Abdurrahman Zakaria, who declared 3 days of national mourning for the victims. The mass killing underscored the enormous security challenges facing Niger's new president Mohamed Bazoum, who won the election in late February to succeed outgoing leader Muhammadu Isufu. Intercommunal tensions have been a problem as a result, particularly near the border between Mali and Niger, with fighting over scarce resources. In Libya, a transitional government has taken power in the capital, Tripoli, officially beginning a tenure designed to end 10 years of chaos with democratic elections later this year. In the capital, Tripoli, the head of the United Nations supported administration in western Libya transferred power to Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Biba and Mohamed Younus Menfi, who chairs a 3-member presidential council. The government includes 2 deputy prime ministers, 26 ministers, and 6 ministers of state. The unexpectedly smooth transfer of power is seen as an important step to end the chaos in the North African country. The United States has sanctioned an additional 24 Chinese officials over ongoing crackdown in semi-autonomous Hong Kong, including a decision to overhaul the city's electoral system. The sanctions announced late on Tuesday was introduced under the Hong Kong Autonomy Act and lists officials who are deemed responsible for eroding the rights and freedoms promised to the people at the time of its handover from British to Chinese rule. The latest sanctions came just hours before talks were set to begin in Alaska, the first such meeting since President Joe Biden took office.
That brings us to the end of this midweek edition of the news on DBS television. But don't go away yet, because the press review is up next in the English language with Mange Fenasius, and you can also take a rendezvous with Fatima Rich Ewane for the news in French at 8 p.m. Until we meet tomorrow, good night.